Welcome. My name is Aaron Markel. I wanted to take a minute to spend some time with my new and good friends from Veterans Health Canada. Thought we'd do a little pre-launch series to talk about the beer that we're going to be launching in collaboration with Veterans Health Canada. Really, the reasons we're doing it, and some more information, just so that we can kind of get the message out there and get you guys to all come back and buy a lot of beer before we launch it. So, again, I'm Aaron Markel. I work and like one of the co-owners or Broken Stick Brewing Company. We'll go around the room. Maybe John, you can introduce yourself and what you do at VHC.
Sure. So my name is John Atoyebi. I've been working at Veterans House over the last 4 years on the brand and communication aspect of our organization, just trying to get the word out there on who we are, our mission across Canada, helping homeless veterans. And yep, we're happy to be part of this series, partnering Veterans House and Broken Stick Brewery.
Amazing. Eleanor, can I call you Molly? Is that okay?
You sure can, Aaron.
Right.
Yeah, thanks so much, and once again, thanks for the partnership. This is an amazing endeavor. I'm looking forward to launching this brew launch. So Al Mulawishin, I'm the executive director of Veterans House Canada. I've been with Veterans House Canada for about 5 years. Prior to that, I served 40 years in the Canadian Army. 2 years in the reserves, 38 years regular force, and retired in 2021, and then started this job with Veterans House Canada.
Amazing. What was your rank when you retired?
I retired as a brigadier general.
And how are your knees?
My knees are sore every day.
They are amazing. So why don't we start with Veterans Health Canada? Because I mean, we only really met each other maybe 3-4 months ago.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it was really an eye-opening experience for me. So maybe you guys can give us a little bit of an overview as to what the facility is, what your mission is, why you exist. Why don't we start with that?
Well, I think that's the most important question is, why do you exist? What problem are we trying to solve? I think is, the basic fundamental questions. And that's a veterans homelessness. Most people do not realize the dire strait of veterans in the homeless population. Although veterans represent only 1% in the Canadian population, they represent between 5 and 7% of the homeless population.
Wow.
Yeah, they're estimated between 5 and 7,000 homeless veterans across Canada, and the numbers, is hard to peg exactly because they don't like they register, and so it can be tough. But they're out there. You see them in the homeless shelters. You see them in the encampments. You see them around, and it's just a shame that there's that many homeless veterans across this country.
Yeah, it's a travesty. All these years spent defending our country and working for us, and now they're living on the streets. So I've seen numbers as high as 10,000. Is that you're pretty confident that's too high, or does anyone really know what the number is?
Oh, I think that's really no one really knows, Aaron.
Which is terrifying.
Which is terrifying. But no, there is no one counts it because homeless populations, shelters are a city responsibility. Veterans are a federal responsibility. But how do you count a transient population that may not want to be found?
Right.
And so it is tricky, but we do have a good indication, again, given some of the point in time counts where people have self-identified as veterans. And again, the numbers are between 5 and 7 times for 7% of the homeless population. And again, veterans are only 1% of the Canadian population.
That's unbelievable. I mean, I can guess at some of the reasons, but maybe you can expand on why that is.
Yeah, so I think it's really a couple things. I think first of all, after you've served, it's that transition from military life to civilian life. I have a lot of friends, talk about, joke with me, say, what's it like to be civilian again after 40 years of service? Well, I've never really been a civilian as an adult. I joined when I was 17 years old. And so to transition from a system that takes care of you, does your health care, is a joke in the Army, you need to know 3 things. Where do I have to be at what time and what dress? And after that, it's all gravy.
Right.
And so when all of a sudden you have to navigate the system, you have to actually try to find a doctor, try to find health care, try to find a place to live after you moved across perhaps the country throughout your career. How do you settle down, kids, spouse? That transition is very, very tough. On top of that, during your career, you've probably deployed, you've been away on training, you've been away from your family, you've had various experiences, be it in training, being in garrison, being overseas.
Right.
And that all adds, to that burden that you're carrying. And when you release from the military, all of a sudden that cocoon that protected you before is gone.
Right. And so I'll take a break from Alan a minute, but John, what brought you to Veterans Health Canada? Where were you before?
Sure.
What brings you here today?
So, my journey is moved from the US down to Ottawa, and when I made that transition, the first thing that hit me walking around Ottawa was the fact that it's a beautiful city, but different pockets of the city, you see a lot of homeless shelters, people living just inappropriate situations. And I started looking at what are the organizations out there helping and, directly impacting our city, to reduce the number of homeless individuals. And that's how I got to know about multi-faith housing, and I got to know about Veterans House Canada and reached out to join the organization. And over the last 3+ years, it's all about re-educating Canadians that are connected online or in person on the issue of veteran homelessness and what's the best solution, which is to provide a permanent housing for them. And then they always ask, how can they, support that vision? How can they support that mission? And that's why I then educate them on the different opportunities, either to volunteer, to spread the word, either to come into any of our programs to help support our team in any facility or join a committee. If you have skills in communication, if you have skills in governance, we have several opportunities for every Canadian to give back, and that's been my goal, ensuring that no one feels they can't do anything about the situation. There is something you could do, and that's what my goal has been, to increase that awareness.
Yeah, it's amazing. And when you really think about it, again, 3 months ago, I didn't know there was a veterans homeless problem,
Yeah.
right? So I've been living in Cam almost 50 years old. So the fact that I don't know tells me that most of my compatriots and most of my friends and family also don't know. So I imagine a really big part of your mission is to unfortunately spread the word,
Yep.
to bring awareness to what is clearly a very tragic situation. Well, what are the different ways that you have been working? Like, what has worked? What are you getting the most traction with?
Yeah.
What are the things that excite you and seem to be getting the word out?
So I use multiple opportunities to get the word out there. There's that in-person event. So over the years, I've tried to create a few opportunities for community members to visit the Andy Castle building in Ottawa. So the most popular one would be our Remembers Day event, where communities around the Waterridge village, just right off Montreal Road, they come out, they see what we're doing, they interact with the veterans, they hear our successes, and that causes a positive ripple effect. And also online, so capturing some of these success stories once a veteran is, you know, well settled and they want to share their journey, share their story. I have that conversation with them and show the human side of it, that
Hmm.
this is a person that we impact. This is a family that has reconnected. This is an individual now that is able to give back to the community after they've found a home, they've found a circle of support. Then also creating, you know, activations across different events. So in Ottawa, in Edmonton, in different regions, we look at opportunities to visit the markets, to do an activation there, give out brochures, give out flyers. At the Elks game, we go out there, engage with fans, engage with community members. So those are different vehicles, in person, online. There are multiple opportunities to reach people, and Veterans House taps into those.
That's amazing. And let's jump back into what Veterans House is, how it came to be, because you're a relatively new organization. I think about 5 years, right? Just over 5 years.
5 years old. We're a toddler charity. Yeah.
Toddler charity. Okay, I like that. So why don't we go back to the beginning and kind of, I think you were employee 1 or 2.
I was employee 1. John was actually employee 2.
Okay, so I have the
you-
OG members, so to
you,
speak.
you do here, but you can't tell Veterans House Canada story without telling multi-faith housing story, and it is a bit of a interesting origin story. Multi-faith Housing Initiative, or MHI,
Okay.
is an Ottawa-based faith-based housing charity, and they've been around for about 25 years. In about 2015, the executive director of multi-faith housing became aware of the issue of veterans homelessness. She's not a veteran. Her family weren't veterans, but she knew that was wrong.
Okay.
And she decided to do something about it. And so by pure perseverance and determination, her name is Suzanne Lee. Suzanne was able to have multi-faith housing and the board of directors decide to actually invest into a building specifically for homeless veterans. And that building opened in February 2021. It's called the Andy Carswell Building, and is located in Waterridge Village here in Ottawa. Opened her door on a very cold February 1st, 2021, in the middle of a pandemic.
Ah.
And so you can imagine the plight of the shelters and the people homeless
Yes.
at the time. And so doors were opened. The first veteran was received. We have since been open for 5 years now. We have housed over 80 homeless veterans so far in that time that have been able to call the Andy Carswell building their home. And that building was really the proof of concept building. Did we get it right? Was it needed? Because it was hard to tell if there were high, because you couldn't put a number on how many homeless veterans there were. But we've been full. We've been full ever since, with a wait list with veterans from across Canada.
That's amazing. And full is what? What's capacity?
Oh, its capacity is 40 units. So we have 40 studio units within the building, Aaron.
And is it people come, and do some people come and then transition off to go back to friends and family? Is it somewhere people live forever? What does the average journey look like for the veterans that enter this space?
Yeah, an average journey is tough, because if you've heard one story, you've heard one story.
Yeah.
Right. But the bottom line is that people, first of all, they come, it is permanent housing. So it is not transitional housing. It's not a shelter. You sign a lease, they pay rent. And so people are there as long as they want to be. So they're not on a clock, which is incredibly important, because it takes time to come off the street and perhaps to get some of the support you need. It's just to stabilize, to feel safe. So people then are able to follow their own journey. What's their root cause of their homelessness? What can we help them with? And so some will stay a few months. Some have been there since the day we opened the door.
That's fantastic. So really what I'm hearing is, when we say it's a housing unit, it's not a housing unit. It's a complete support unit, right?
That's right. It is much more than just a building.
Right.
If it was just a building, we wouldn't accomplish our aims. The whole intent is to have those programs, those wraparound support, the staff support, to be able to assist our veterans in dealing with whatever, again, the root cause of homelessness, or whatever just they need. It could be mental health. It could be addictions. It could be relationships. It could be financial. So there are many aspects, but the intent is to try to bring in those various supports that help them for what they need.
And I think one of the things that really stuck out, there's two things actually stuck out to me since I've toured the facility a few times, is you accept animals and pets, which I think is amazing. But the bigger point that really stuck out is that you're the only facility in Canada that has the permanent housing solution. So maybe you can speak to how people are housed outside of Veterans House Canada, and the evolution of what this building is now meaning, and as you're moving into Edmonton and Halifax and these other locations.
Yeah, I mean, there are many great organizations, great charities, cities, the shelter system, trying to really come to grips with the homeless problem, which is more than just veterans, obviously.
Yes.
But what we are trying to be is the niche of what we can do, which is the permanent housing. And again, you're right. We're the only charity in Canada that offers that permanent housing for homeless veterans. There are others that offer transitional housing, shelter, short stays, which is fantastic. It's what people may need at the time, but eventually people need a place to live. And that's where we are, that's a part of the spectrum that we're in.
Right. And you're the only ones in that space.
And we are currently, yes.
And so I believe Edmonton is opening, or has opened?
It is opening. So Ottawa, like you mentioned, our first, we've been open since 2021. Edmonton is under construction as we speak, and we'll open this November.
Okay.
And then we're also looking across the country, from everywhere from Victoria, Halifax, Toronto, and in between.
Because if the average unit houses 40 people.
Yes.
And if you assume 4,000, you need tons. You need 100 of these units. Is my math right? Did I just embarrass myself?
Never do math in public. is one of those rules. But again, we're not the only solution. We want to be part of the solution.
Right.
We want to be a part of it, do what we do, and do it well.
Right. And really supply that wraparound permanent living for as long as that person may or may not need. Yeah. And I think one of the things you touched on that was really interesting to me is that this is not free housing. Everyone is paying what they can pay. Maybe you can touch on that a bit, because I think that's a really unique point here.
So it is. And so they do pay rent. They are tenants with a legal tenancy lease that's signed, but it's what's called rent geared to income. So no one's disadvantaged because they can't afford to pay, but there's some veterans who perhaps have a pension and are able to pay. The issue with them, perhaps maybe mental health or addictions, they need support elsewise. But we never want to have no veteran to be turned away because they can't pay.
Right.
And so we work with that veteran to see what they can afford, and then we supplement that rental income to make sure they can stay.
And I think one of the, again, all this is interesting to me, but but where does the money come from? Like how is this facility? How does VCH exist?
So luckily, people like John get the word out to be able to get out to donors, corporate sponsors, because like any charity, we live off funding. I mean, and it's a tough time being a charity today.
Mm,
Um, but we believe in what we do. I think we've got a good message. But we do have to go and talk to individuals, to corporations, to the government, all three levels of government. This is why, as John mentioned, as we try to reach out in different means, because you're approaching different audiences. Not everyone who watches the news listens to the radio anymore.
right.
And so we're able to push out on, to a younger audience, to an older audience, to have that broadband approach.
And do you get a lot of government support? Is there a lot of money that comes from Veterans Affairs Canada or the feds or the province? I mean, how does that work?
So from an operational point of view, there is no money from Veterans Affairs Canada.
Okay.
There are actually no benefits or funding for housing through Veterans Affairs Canada. It's just not one of the benefits
Okay.
that they have, although maybe they should look at that.
I would think so.
We have funding from the Government of Canada through the Veterans Homelessness Program, which is good. But an awful lot of it really is grassroots, being able to, your mom and pop, families that perhaps have veterans within the family, corporations that, recognize the plight. And so we try to really the whole gambit. But there is no single source, that's for sure, and which is why a lot of effort is the awareness portion that you talked
Right.
about.
So it's spreading the word.
It's spreading the word.
People will support, but I didn't know it existed. So you can't support something you don't know about, right? So,
Yep.
so maybe we can talk a little bit more about tell me a little bit about the building itself, because I think you do a lot of really interesting eco and sustainable things within the building.
Sure. So the building, again, 40 units, so 3-story, 40 units. I think what's really neat about it is we also have built it to what's called passive house standards. So an extremely energy efficient standard. A bit more cost up front, but you save it over the long term with the O&M for the heating and cooling costs.
Mm-hmm.
And so we try to really make sure that it's not just 40 rooms. So it's not just the apartment building, it's the common spaces. So in the inside of the building, the main floor has got a kitchen, a great room, a gym, a library, meeting rooms, the laundry facility. Outside, we've got a community garden area. We've got the dog park, as you mentioned, because we do allow pets.
Yeah.
A meditative space, a barbecue area where people can gather. And so it's really fostering that sense of community that, it's a group of fellow veterans that have some of the common, touch points. And, it's not just a room, it is a community.
Yeah, I love when we were last time we were looking at the community gardens, and one of the veterans came over and he was proud about his tomatoes.
Yes.
And I just think that's really great because it's that inside out feel. You're not cooped up in a room all the day. It's a beautiful park. You're out and you're in a news community with bus service, and I mean you can be at a grocery store in 5 minutes from where you are.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I think when you look around to the gardens and the grounds itself, an awful lot is upkept by the veterans themselves. That's not a contractor coming and doing it.
Right.
That is the veterans themselves keeping everything that pride.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. And the Andy Carswell, can we go back to maybe what his story is a bit, because I think it's an amazing story, and how it's kind of integrated into the building and where we are with that. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, so Andy Carswell, again, a fascinating story when you think back to that generation. So Andy Carswell, in 1943, was a 19-year-old flying a Lancaster bomber during the Second World War, doing bombing raids over Germany.
Okay.
19 years old. Like
Baby.
at 19, I don't want to say what I was doing.
Yeah, me neither.
But he had that responsibility, and on his fourth mission, he was shot down over Germany, and spent the last 2 years of the war as a prisoner of war.
Okay.
With Nazi Germany. He actually escaped twice, and was recaptured twice.
Wow.
And so it's quite the story. But at the end of the war, he retired. He was demobilized, as a lot of people were coming out of the military. Weren't fighting a war anymore. And so he became a civilian, but grew restless in late 40s. He rejoined the Air Force.
Okay.
And he weren't flying Lancasters bombing Germany anymore. So he started flying an aircraft called the Canso aircraft. And the Canso, the American name was a PBY Catalina, a flying boat.
Yep.
Used for long-range patrol, anti-submarine warfare during the war. After the war, it was used for photography missions of the high north.
Okay.
And Andy Carswell flew that plane doing those missions right here from Ottawa, from
Really?
Rockcliffe. Absolutely. And then he later was posted out to Vancouver Island, where he was doing search and rescue. And it was during his time there, he was the pilot for up to 3, I believe, significantly dangerous, heroic search and rescue missions, in which he was awarded the Air Force Cross by Queen Elizabeth II.
Wow.
Only one of 9 Canadians to have done that.
Wow. So pretty impressive, man.
Pretty impressive man, a young man.
Is that plane the same one they use for water bombing? I know we have all the fires. Is that a similar plane?
It's a similar plane. There are versions of the Canso that are used today for water bombing still.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because it looks, when I look at the fuselage, it looks like what's happening in our north of our country
Similar.
right now.
Similar. It's a much older version.
Okay, is it okay?
Yeah.
And I believe you have a real fuselage attached to your building as you come in, right?
We do. So Andy's son, John Carswell, donated an actual Canso cockpit, which is located at the Andy Carswell building and tells a story. It's called To the Rescue. And it tells a story of Andy Carswell's bravery in that flight.
And I think you might have brought a few medals that are they replicas or the real deal?
So these are actual. These not the actual. These are the replica medals that Andy Carswell earned during his time frame, which includes at the end here. This is the Air Force Cross. Again, is the second highest award for bravery below the Victoria Cross.
And he's one of 9.
And one of 9 from Queen Elizabeth.
That's amazing.
And no longer the medal system has changed, so these aren't awarded anymore. And just you can walk away with this. He also wrote a book called Over the Wire, which tells his whole story of a POW camp. And again, very, very easy, an easy read. Even for a soldier, it was an easy read that tells the story of his time. And again, when you look back at what that generation did, and it is incredible.
And then, so how did you settle on? Was the building always the Andy Carswell building, or did you rename it when Veterans House Canada took over? What was the building before you guys got involved with it?
So it was a building, and so as part of the capital campaign to build the building, we do sponsorships, which we're doing in Edmonton right now. And so John Carswell sponsored the building, sponsored the naming rights.
I see.
Made a donation of enough money to to earn that distinction. But what's great, he didn't name it after himself.
After his father.
He named it after his dad.
Yeah, the hero. That's amazing.
Yeah, his dad is his hero.
Yeah, no, you can't get a better story than that, right? So,
Yeah.
And he ties into the military and it ties into the veterans. It's an amazing story.
It is. And John Carswell, who's been a fantastic supporter, is a veteran as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it runs in the family.
Yeah, 4 generations.
Oh, wow. So his great-great-grandfather served in the First
World War. He did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of trouble they've seen as
It
a
is.
family, I would say.
It is, and his son serves today.
Really?
Yes, he serves today. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
And have you guys come up with a name for the facility in Edmonton, or is that still
Still
Rush?
in the works. We're getting the word out. That's part of the great work John is doing. If anybody is interested, we're happy to have that discussion.
Yeah.
But we are still looking for an appropriate name for the building in Edmonton. Yes.
Okay, so that would be an action item for people to reach out to John or yourself to kind of say we're interested, and you have the discussion about what that looks like fiscally and what it means for them as a person or individual.
Absolutely. And naming the building is obviously the highest level of sponsorship, but we have much lower levels, everything, from rooms to park benches. There are numerous opportunities.
Yeah, so any person, organization that wants to support our next Brewed in Edmonton, you could look at supporting the grounds, like helping the Meditative Guardians, naming rights to the dog park. So the various opportunities, we have 30 plus rooms that are still open for sponsorship. So you could, sponsor one of the units there and know that you're directly helping the veteran, have a permanent residence.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I know we'll get into this later, but how do people find out about this? Because this is actually the first time I've heard this story, and we've spoken a few times. So where would people find out more about that particular concept?
Sure. So you could just look us up or any of the social profiles, and right there you see our website, veteransHouseCanada.ca, and you could just look up about us, and you see our story. You could take a virtual tour of what the building looks like in Ottawa, which is a proof of concept for what we're building currently in Edmonton.
And then it'll be kind of a rinse and repeat type idea. Like, this works, you just keep popping them up as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Because they're needed.
Exactly. New and improved. We always have lessons learned. Always have those like, why do we do that?
Yeah.
And so I joke Edmonton is version 2.0, new and improved. And new ones will be again keep learning those lessons. What can we do better? Listen to the tenants. Listen to the staff. Hey, let's tweak this, tweak that, and that's what we're doing. But basically, the model is the same, Aaron.
And so let's talk about the human side of this a bit. So can you paint a picture like What's the average age? Is it females as well? Or like, what kind of people are living at the Andy Carswell building today?
Yeah. So that is so obviously veterans of the Canadian Armed Forces, and that's regular reserve Rangers. There is no minimum time. You don't have to have done an overseas tour as long as you've sworn your allegiance to the country and you are a veteran.
Coast Guard as well?
Nope, no Coast Guard are not members of the Canadian
They're
Armed
not?
Forces.
Okay, I didn't know that.
They are not. And so they tend to be a quick snapshot. Is first of all, they're older than you would think. The average age is 59 years old.
Is it really?
It is because if you think about it, you join the military, late teens, early 20s, you do your time, you retire, and you begin that transition. And usually that transition is where things start to go south.
Right.
And it takes time. It doesn't happen automatically. You don't become homeless right away. And then you're on the streets for a while. And so it takes a bit. So yeah, the average age is 59. We've had some veterans in their 30s. We've had veterans in their 90s.
Really?
Yes.
That was a homeless gentleman, I'm assuming, or
gentleman lives with us right now.
90 years old.
92.
Oh,
Just turned 92.
wow.
Yep. And so it is that full gamut. But they're all veterans. They've all served, men and women, absolutely. As long as you served, you're good.
And I know we talked about pensions before, and there was some stuff you had shared with pensions that really, again, as an ordinary guy, actually was really shocking. So maybe you can dive into how it looks, how long you have to serve before there's anything that is returned from the country you just finished serving.
Yeah, I think there's two misconceptions out there that many people think. So first of all, is that people believe that veterans, the Veterans Affairs Canada exists, and I'm not meaning to disparage the Veterans Affairs Canada, but people assume that it's a omnibus. I guess you get taken care of when you leave the military.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah, but that's not true. So, for example, there is no housing support at all of Veterans Affairs Canada. There's no housing benefits, and so that's the first one. Is that it is not. They do a lot of great things, especially on the health of veterans, but there's nothing on the housing side of it. And the second one is people assume, well, you serve, you must have a pension. Well, you need to serve 25 years before you get a pension from the military. And most people don't serve 25 years.
Really?
And so those two things factored together, are probably the two biggest misconceptions out there. And those two things both contribute to
The
veterans homelessness. Yeah.
So do you get partial pensions if you work 20 years? You 25 or nothing.
25 or nothing, you do get a return of contributions.
Okay.
So that means what you put in, the government matches.
Lump
You
sum.
get a lump sum. You
Yep.
get a lump sum back. But no, there's no prorated unless you're 15 years. So you get 30%. Nope, it is 25
Or bust.
or above. 25 or bust. Yeah.
Wow, that is shocking. I mean, you would think. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
No. Well, that's the system.
And then, do most of the people living in your facility today, do they have pensions?
The vast majority do not.
Okay.
The vast majority have not served that full career. They've served 9, 12, 15 years. We do have some that absolutely do.
Okay.
But the vast majority don't.
Are there employment options? Or are they expected to work if they can? Are they encouraged to work? What does employment look like for the average tenant, I guess?
Really, it's really individual, but because a lot of them are older, a lot of them are having health problems, having addiction problems, mental health problems.
They can't.
Getting back to the workforce is not their primary concern, to be honest. We've had some younger tenants, and even some older ones who did want to work, who have got gone back to school, got some more education, got some skills, but the vast majority, to be honest, are trying to lead a safe life. Be able to, deal with, again, some of those root causes of their homelessness. And many, again, that age are not looking to reenter the workforce, to be honest.
Okay. So most are in a spot where it's probably better that they're not working.
For them.
Yeah.
For them. If they wanted to, that's great. And we have opportunities. We have got connections. We're willing to help them find. There just hasn't been a real groundswell of that from the veterans.
That's interesting. Talk to me about cars, because that was one of the things you told me that really stuck with me. If I recall correctly, it's one of the last things that people give up because it's home, it's transportation, it's a lot of things for people.
It's independence.
It's independence. That's the word.
So when we were building the Andy Carswell building, the city of Ottawa required we had to have, I think, 24 parking spots, and we thought, what do we need parking spots for? Why do we need a parking lot for homeless veterans? But the old, saying, don't fight City Hall.
Yes.
And so we built it thinking we can repurpose it, only to admit that we were totally wrong. So the parking lot is full of vehicles owned by veterans who are homeless because that was their home. That's the last thing you give up. That is your workshop, that's your office, that's your living room, that's your independence, that's your ability to get around. We've had veterans who have lived for months in their vehicles. And so, again, lesson learned, we actually need parking spots for them.
Mm-hmm. I guess, yeah, that's a lesson you learn the hard way because of the city auto, which doesn't usually happen. So that's interesting.
Yep.
And what about, like, it's their apartment? Are they allowed, like, family can come visit? Is it open in that way, or is it kind of a closed community?
So it's closed insofar as it's obviously secure, but people can absolutely have visitors. But it is studio units. It is only single people live there. There's no couples. There's no families.
Got it.
That's not something that we do right now. But they can absolutely have visitors. It's their home. So we want to make sure they're home. They can decorate it as whatever they want. They can make it their home, but they can have their pets. But again, there's no one living there with them. There's there are certain rules, like honestly, like any building.
Absolutely. And then, so I'll go back to you, John. What are some of the better fundraising events or opportunities or things you've done? Like, what has brought, in your opinion, some of the biggest exposure pieces?
Right off the bat, I would say like Giving Tuesday, which happens every fall. It's an opportunity right across Canada for everyone to be in that mind frame of, okay, want to give back to a charity that's doing great work. And we always put our hands up to say supporting Veterans House Canada is one of those, incredible ways where you could give back and you know that every dollar is directly helping a veteran, supplement their housing costs, supplement the feeding, where you have months longer than how much their, income would stretch
Right.
to. We have programs midweek where we offer meals, and this brings the whole community together. So donations go towards supporting, this type of food programs. And during the summer, when the weather is a lot better, there are opportunities for them to go on tours just to get around the community, engage, play baseball, whatever group activity they want to do. Those support, directly help, facilitate those community engagement opportunities. So, yeah, so Giving Tuesday is one of those, channels where we have seen a lot of support. We also kicked off 2 years ago in our a relationship with BMO, where throughout the Veterans Week, we're at several branches across Ottawa. And last year, also in Edmonton, where anyone banking at those locations can go off and drop an additional
Oh, fantastic.
donation that goes towards Veterans House Canada. So those are your two recurring opportunities where people could, directly earmark certain amounts to go towards Veterans House Canada.
Yeah, because I guess it's a twofold problem, right? You need to raise money, but you have to raise awareness to raise more money, right?
Exactly.
So you're
Yeah.
almost better off to raise awareness because eventually people are going to support this. It's just too good a cause, right?
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion. So
It goes hand in hand. So while campaigns end in the fall or whenever, throughout the year, we're all about relationship building and talking about our success, talking about our progress, talking about the different programs, talking about the impact. So when we talk about the horticulture therapy program, we talk about gardening. We're not just talking about, oh, this group of veterans have raised beds or plants. No, we're talking about them seeing the efforts that they put into their garden yield multiple folds, and they take pride in that effort. So it's about looking at programs such as the writing program where they could use the different experiences they have, put it into words. They could, actually put their thoughts together into a constructive, story, and that helps them to heal. That helps them to, put a language to their feelings, to their emotions. So those are the concrete success and outcomes that throughout the year we see, a veteran that comes in and is staying aloof, the different programs help them transition and become more confident, become more ingrained in the community. Those are the relationships we keep pushing, the stories we keep pushing out there to say, hey, you supported us in the fall. These are how we are implementing the funds throughout the year. So the next opportunity, please support even more.
Yeah, that's not a one and done.
No.
As the stories are coming out, whether it's newsletters or
Yeah.
on Facebook or any of the social media platforms, getting that word out. This is what where your money's going. This is the
Right.
success stories of what we're doing, and it's important to have that. So it's not you never take a donor for granted,
Absolutely.
right?
Because ideally, if you're doing your job properly, they will remain a donor indefinitely
Yep.
because
Yeah.
they're seeing literally the fruits of their money and your work. Really,
100%.
right? So I
Exactly.
think that's very powerful. Well, let's talk about beer. We'll
And more importantly, yes, talk
talk
about
about
beer.
the fun stuff here. So, um, why don't you talk a little bit, John, about how because you basically came up with this design, right? You and your team.
Yeah.
This is all you. This has nothing to do with us at Broken Stick. So maybe talk a little bit about like why you settled on this. I think it'll be apparent, but
Yeah.
how we got to the design, why it mattered that you did it and not a bunch of guys sitting at a brewery come drawing things on paper.
So this partnership is it's something that we're very excited to do as an office. So once we understood that there's an opportunity, a synergy here between Broken Stick Brewery and Veterans House, I just put it out to the team. What are your thoughts on, conceptualizing who we are into our can design, and the sky is the limit. So everyone just went off giving different suggestions. So let's put a building, let's put the rooms, let's showcase one of the, council, just what's special about us. So all the different ideas were all fielded, and then took that to say, okay, what's something that's fundamental to who we are, what the building stands for, which is, transitioning our veterans out of homelessness into being housed, into permanency, and that rescue theme, that was what then spoke to, okay, let's take the Canso, that rescue vision, and then put it into a design. And that's what then came up with the Canso campus, also reflecting on our first proof of concept here in Ottawa. So that the plane, the building, that messaging came together into our design for this premium lager that is launching this fall. So but
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
I love stories. I think stories matter. I mean, you're in the business of telling stories, and I think you guys did an amazing job of telling a story on so many different facets and levels that reflects not only the airplane and the building, but actually that evolving idea of taking care of people, searching and rescuing people.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic story. And what's interesting is I didn't actually really realize it. I actually initially looked at it and thought, well, this has to do with the building, which is the logical conclusion. But the better story is that it has to do with people. Right. It just happens to be the buildings where they're just living today.
Yeah.
And I think that messaging and getting that across for us at the brewery, our excitement is to raise, like, we want to raise a bunch of money, but we want to raise a bunch of people's ideas. We're in a different part of town. We think we can bring new eyeballs to a program that is deserved. And that for us is really, like, it was a no-brainer. I think within 45 minutes of meeting you, I said, let's do a beer together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You gave me this spiel one-on-one, and
Yeah.
I'm a big talker, and it's like one of the first times I just sat there and listened for 45 minutes and realized, like, you guys are doing God's work. I mean, it's really amazing what you do. So, what are the plans? I mean, I know them, but maybe you can share what we're thinking about doing for the launch, how we want to promote it. Maybe if you want to speak to that a bit.
Yeah, so for us, we're excited to get the word out there. We're looking to, kick off with a pre-launch. Let's get the community excited about this launch. Let's get, new eyeballs on our mission, and how it's a perfect season for it, right? So with this pre-launch, we're partnering with Broken Stick to say all the pre-order sales will also add our lovely canned coolers here to just make it even special.
Yep.
So whichever time you're enjoying any brewery, any drink, anything like that, the message continues much long after you've enjoyed our Canso Lager. So that's one of the pre-launch ideas that we have, and we feel like it will connect a lot. And on the launch day, we're saying every pre-sale you get our opportunity to visit at the brewery and join us for a meal, interact with the team, get to learn more about the mission and how much more you could further connect with us. So we have a pre-launch, pick up orders on the launch date right at the brewery. And yep, the partnership continues and grows even further.
Yeah, and I love I appreciate you doing it on the label, but I love the fact that the QR code's there because you've already talked about engagement. Now you're talking about activation, right? So
Yes.
by scanning that QR code right away, it's not coming to us. It's actually going to your mission. Like if you want to learn more rather than the paragraph that's on there, it's an amazing way. And I believe you can donate by clicking on that link as well, right?
Yes. So once anyone picks up any of the cans, you could scan right there while enjoying your drink, get to learn more about us, and right away you have opportunity to give to Veterans House.
Right. So you'd have to just lower the koozie to get to the scanning and that. No, that's great. And so I think the long-term plan, and you talked about it a bit, well, we'd like to start, we've never done a pre-sale program at Broken Stick. So this is our first kind of foray into that. And we think this is such a great vehicle to launch that with, because if you're ever going to support the beer is great. We had a chance to taste it. Still in the fermentation tank. So it was a bit sweet, but it's coming along great. And it should be ready for actual testing in about a week and a half. So you guys are welcome back for that. But I think it's such a great way to launch a program where we can start pre-selling. And today's day one, right? So today's the first time we're really talking about this.
Yeah.
We start taking all this information and running through social media, start spreading the word. And ideally, like our goal is to have this pre-sold before a beer ever hits the draft line. Like that's really the goal. And then we can brew it again. Because the more people we can get this into the hands, and I guess Mel's, for gifts, for whatever it happens to be, right? We're heading towards Remembrance Day. There's a bunch of stuff that's coming up that is important. Like I would love people to buy 4 or 5 cases. We're donating proceeds back. We haven't figured out what the exact number is for the value of the can itself, but a big percentage of the proceeds are going to be back. At Broken Stick, we really focus on doing like 1 to 2 beers a year that go back to some version of the community. So we've done a trail ale, we've supported a rescue service for dogs. We did Gator Ale, which supported Little Ray's Rescue. So this one excites me. I think this one is really, I can see like, I don't really like cats and dogs. I probably shouldn't say that, but I don't love them. But this one, I really respect what you guys are doing. And it feels like we can tangibly be part of the conversation, which I think is what is needed by virtue of listening to you guys for the last, 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, I think when we go back to the awareness piece, right? That is first and foremost is the awareness.
Yeah.
And if this, and I'm sure it will, just get that out there in the community a little bigger, a little more awareness, then we've succeeded.
Yeah. So really, I think ultimately what we're going to be asking everyone at the end of this series, and even right now, is to say, if you like what you're hearing, come by the brewery, buy some beer. But more than that, tell everyone you know. Convince other people to, you don't have to buy the beer. It doesn't need, convince people that there is a tangible problem in this country. I don't care where you live in the country. It's a problem in the country.
It is.
And that you need to inform yourself and learn more about that problem.
Yeah.
That's what I've tried to do, because it's like a black hole. No one knows this exists. So job one is to make people realize that we have something we can do. We have a solution that is implemented, that is working, that can be supported. Right? Like that has to be what the outcome of this is, regardless of how much beer we sign or how big a check we give. I know that all matters, but getting people talking, ideally over a beer, because why not, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's that season.
yes, it's that season, and we're nearing the end of it. So I think that's all the questions I have for you guys. Is there anything I can answer for you, or?
So just speaking about the drink, like what could we expect to, when they taste it, what are some of the notes, what are some of the ingredients that the team is working, behind the scenes to produce?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when we sat down as a group, we tried to figure out what style of beer you guys wanted. And I think we end up settling on a lager, mostly because we want to sell a lot of them. Like, to be very honest, right? We don't want to have anything crazy like an IPA or maybe like a stout that only a percentage of the population likes. So we settled right in the middle. This beer is coming in at exactly 5%. It's the first of its kind. So we brewed this beer specifically for you guys and your team. I've tasted it. It tastes good. I'll know more. I have tasting notes, but I think I'm going to kind of tease those out as we go along.
Okay.
Some updates. So I'll be sharing that with you, and you can share with everyone. But I think everyone's going to like it. We built a beer that will be approachable, flavorful, but will exist in the area of people that like macro beer. Like, we didn't really want to have these really funky flavors and a lot of hops that we might have alienated a large percentage of the population. We wanted to make sure we had a beer that everyone can enjoy.
Right.
At a rate that at 5% is a reasonable rate where you can have 2 or 3 and still, enjoy your afternoon and not do anything too silly. So, but yeah, we'll get you a lot of more details, and we'll tease them out, so to speak.
No, we look forward to that, and again, look forward to cracking that first one with you, Aaron.
Yes, it'll be it'll be a nice time. We'll crack that and make a nice video. Maybe not here, but somewhere more fun than here.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and yeah, Veterans House is fully excited to not just support the pre-launch, but also ensure that our community that have been with us the last 4 or 5 years also come out to Broken Stick. And where's the location again?
Yeah, so we're 600 Du Golf Road. We're in Hammond, Ontario. From where we're sitting today, it's about 30 minutes. If you live in Orleans, it's about 15 minutes east, Rockland area. We're the first brewery to open on a golf course in Canada, the second in North America. So we're a unique brewery in that we are a true microbrewery. We've brewed in 5 years just over 52 beers, with a couple of them winning some awards. So we focus on small batches, which is what fits this model for us so much. And every time you come, there's usually 1 or 2 new things to taste. And well, this will be first of. So we'll be soon tasting this all as a group, as a community.
No, that's amazing. And again, just it's been an eye-opening for me. I've never been to a brewery before, a microbrewery, and to go for a tour with you and see what goes into it, and talking to the brewmaster, and just every little piece that just all has to come together to make it right. And your focus on, ingredients that are pure and natural and local is very impressive.
Yeah, I think again, story matters, right? You wanna do the right things for the right reasons, and I think it resonates with people, especially now. I think we're at a
Yep.
time and place where local matters, doing good by your community, doing good by charities. It all seems to be really kind of resounding. Well, I think that's great, guys. I appreciate you guys coming out and doing this with me. I think your message is amazing. What you do is phenomenal. And again, where can people find you?
Well, check us on every social platform: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Just type there Veterans House Canada and we'll come right up. And most especially on our website, where we have all the ongoing projects and our success stories there for you to watch and engage with, veteranshousecanada.ca. We'd like you to just go on there, learn about us, and reach out to anyone on the team, and you get concrete information and opportunities to get involved with.
So your website is your storytelling vehicle. Like if you're not there or you're not there, the website tells an amazing story.
It says it all right there.
And it's worth it to jump on and just learn a little bit more.
100%.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, thanks again, guys.
Well, thanks, Aaron. Thanks again. We look forward to this, and thanks to you and the whole entire team at Broken Stick.
It's a pleasure for us.
Awesome.